have a call of the roll, please?
Sergeant Chittick,
Yep.
Commissioner Hall,
Here.
Commissioner Rowe,
Here.
Commissioner Stillion,
Here.
Commissioner Brienza.
Present.
All right, I assume everybody got a copy of the minutes from last meeting? I'll
Make a
entertain-
motion to accept?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes from the last meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And it's a vote. I'll now open the public hearings. Actually, might as well take them both together since they're both together. Number 935 and 936, establish resident-only parking on Cedardale Road and on Wooddale Road. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? You want to state your name and
Yes, sir.
Address?
Thank you, Pam McClure, inviting me, and I'm glad to. Once again, as I stated in the previous meeting.
just state your name and your address for the
Oh,
record.
I'm sorry, sir. Eric Washington, 9 Wooddale Road, Lynn, Mass.
Okay.
I'm just here, coming to the board just to get a community and resident parking only. Some of the problems that we're having is the overflow of Linfield Street, which is coming onto Wooddale Road and Cedardale Road. It's not a bad thing, and I really want the sign there as a deterrent, you know what I mean? People are gonna come and visit their in-laws, relatives, you know what I mean? But when people parking, overnight park, and this Wooddale Road is just a small street, and nobody turns down Cedardale Road. Everybody migrates right there in that one little area. And it doesn't matter if, there's not enough parking, people park in front of the hydrant, people park right in front of your house, and, they block your driveway, so you can't get out, or they park right across the street, so you get out. The street's big, but it's not big enough to, obtain a large amount of cars, you know what I mean? So, as a deterrent, a resident parking only, just to slow down some of the traffic that comes on the street in the overnight, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of parties in the neighborhood, but, when they come, the overflow comes on the street, and, I'm just asking the board that, if I get a resident parking only sign, that I have signed a petition with everybody on the street, everybody's acknowledged, the issues and the problems that we're having on the street. So I just like the sign just as a deterrent, and then, make it feasible for the people who do live on that street.
All right. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone else here to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. What are the wishes of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'm not happy with both. Who's the one?
They're next to each other.
You're on Wooddale?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve it on Wooddale.
Go by Millard's on the right, not the Millard.
I'll second that.
All right. Motion made and seconded to approve resident parking on Wooddale Road only. All those in favor?
Aye.
And it's a vote.
I make a motion to table 935.
I'll second that one.
Motion made and seconded to table number 935, resident-only parking on Cedardale. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, and it's a vote. All right. Under new business, number 938, request the MBTA to move or eliminate the bus stop on Washington Street at the corner of Hamilton Ave.
Can I interrupt 1 second, Mr. Chairman? Give us a couple weeks, we'll get those signs up.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it. You might want to tell your friends and stuff, they can go down anytime and start applying for passes. There is a lap time for the appeal of this, but come down and get your passes and everything, because even if you live there, if you do not have a proper passes sticker, you're going to get a ticket and be responsible.
Wayne Losey told me all about it, and he's great when he comes to us. Is that at your office, ma'am?
No.
In the parking department.
Basement of City Hall.
City Hall? Okay, thank you.
Room 102 in the basement.
So this was a letter from Councilor Calucci. His resident was requesting, let me just read the letter from Councilor Calucci. The resident at 2 Hamilton Ave contacted me to request the bus stop in front of his house to be relocated. As you can see from the pictures attached, the people waiting for the bus are throwing their water bottles, tonic cans, trash, and bags of trash behind his wall, and throwing trash and bottles inside the columns of the wall. They are also sitting on the wall for the bus. He has to pick up trash daily. The owner is very upset over this situation, and he's had enough.
I've also spoken to the MBTA, and under their Better Bus Project, they're in the city right now eliminating a lot of bus stops or moving other bus stops. And when I explained this one to them, they looked at the ridership and they think this is something that they could probably eliminate
So should we
anyways.
just table it for now?
So we could table it or just, at least send them a letter requesting that they eliminate it.
Make a motion to send the MBTA a letter requesting the elimination of the bus stop in Washington and Hamilton.
Second that.
Motion made and seconded to send them a letter requesting that. All those in favor?
Aye.
And to vote. I'll give you the name and address of,
Eric?
yes.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think I have it, but
Okay.
I'll touch base with you.
Berkman?
Berkman, yeah.
Berkman,
that's,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, number 939, establish no turn on red for the left turn only lane on South Common Street.
This was an email. It was woman Rita Brusket, who lives at St. Mary's Plaza. She was wondering about the red arrow left turn only lane on South Common Street. She states people make the left on the red arrow all the time, but she thought it was illegal, which it's not. The problem she and some others are having is that if they come out of the driveway of St. Mary's by the rectory and the cars fill up in the lane heading towards Franklin Street, they cannot get out until at least another light cycle or two. And so she would like to propose on South Common Street at the intersection of Veterans Memorial Square, a no turn on red for the left turn only lane.
The Ward 5 council also actually spoke to me about that she's been down, she's had some problems, and she would love to have that happen right away. She's concerned for her constituents, because they are having a problem getting across, and she actually went down and was observing it. So if you're coming down the Commons, it's the right,
So the
it's the
turn-
left to take the turn to
Go
Franklin
Franklin
Street.
Street.
So what they're looking to do is have you stop at the Commons and not go around the corner on a red light.
So they're taking a left on a red,
A left on,
Correct.
which is allowed because it's a one-way?
From a one-way onto a one-way is allowed, yes. I've been down there a bunch. Not a lot of cars do it, some do, but
Yeah, I looked at it today and nobody was there. It's actually was fine.
if we put a sign saying you can't do it, then they'll stop. Yeah.
And the sign will say what? No,
No left on red. No,
Like no turn on right?
like no turn on right, it'd be no
left.
turn on left.
Or red arrow,
Red
whatever you
arrow.
want to,
Yeah.
what would you put on something like, there is a red
No
arrow.
left turn on red arrow.
I'm thinking of remove the arrow mask over the signal and just have it a red light. Or
But
is
then
that-
you could still take a left on the red.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Scratch that idea.
It'd just be no turn on red, you know.
What is easiest for you, Andy?
I just want to respect the board's wishes on what the sign says. So it's going to say no turn on red, and we're going to place it such that it's in that left-hand turn
In that
lane.
left-hand turn lane.
It's not gonna say no left turn on red?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you
That's what-
can't really take a,
a right.
well, you can take it right into their parking lot.
What does the one down here at Essex Street and Central Ave say?
Left turn on red after stop.
And we don't want that.
We don't want that.
No turn on red? No,
That's it.
doesn't Wyoming Square have something, you cannot turn on a red
You got a big arrow there.
arrow or something? You must
Yeah.
wait for the green arrow, or?
The big
Supposed to.
arrow is for when there's a pedestrian phase, so someone
Yeah.
can push the pedestrian button and get the all clear to walk.
Okay.
Someone takes a right on red, you'll clip them. So if the pedestrian phase is
Well, even if we.
current, that thing comes on.
Even if we sat down for a public hearing, couldn't we just figure out the terminology for the
By next month?
next meeting?
Yeah.
I mean, does it need to have an ordinance, or to just put I guess it does need an ordinance, right? Yeah. All right, motion to set down for a public hearing.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to set it down for a public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And it's a vote.
In the meantime, I'll look at some
Some wording.
sample
that's
signs
all.
or something, I'll come up with something. I understand the intent.
Number 940, establish resident-only parking on Garfield Ave.
And this was the resident Julie Quirk. She is having let me see if she actually wrote.
She's on a call with the car out front of the house.
I've lived at 114 Garfield Ave, Lynn, for 15 years. Of recent, Kings Lynn Apartments, which abuts my property, has become strict with their parking bylaws. Prior to this, we never had a problem with parking on our street. As a result, they have people who reside up there constantly parking in front of my residence 7 days a week on the overnight and into the 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. every day and all day weekends. This has impacted my trash pickups on Thursday and recent street sweeping as they impede my sidewalk. Is there anything we can do? How could we go about getting a resident-only parking sign? And I emailed her back, and then I think you spoke with her?
I spoke to her, and I spoke to Counselor Walsh.
Right.
Counselor Walsh had suggested maybe a no parking overnight
Right.
in the area or something.
She did email me back and say she spoke to Counselor Walsh, and she thought it would be best to pursue the option of a sign designating no overnight parking.
The only problem with that is, how far do you go? If I'm assuming it might be an illegal tenant. If I'm an illegal tenant, if you put something for 150 feet, no parking, I'm gonna park 170 feet down the street and then walk to the place that I'm not supposed to be living at. A lot of places, Kerwin Circle sometimes does that. We have major parking issues out in the village, because they don't want anybody who's not supposed to be living there, so they restrict the cars. And it
Okay,
does
but-
work there, but it causes a parking nightmare.
We have guests too that come in, they're gonna get whacked for overnight parking.
Yeah. But if you make it no overnight parking, I was up in the area today. The other problem is even if you made that section resident parking, 50 feet, then you go to another street, they're gonna park on that street.
On Hayes Street.
And I believe, from what I've heard, it's also they're very loud and boisterous people, so they're parking there late night, so now they're gonna be walking down the street.
Yelling and screaming.
So I don't know if it's not an idea that maybe the counselor might want to have a neighborhood meeting. Maybe we should be putting resident parking on the two streets to a certain extent. I don't know what your feel is.
No, I think the ward council needs to have a neighborhood meeting up there and figure out exactly
do.
what they want to do, because the two streets are right there side by side. You know,
What are the restrictions that Kings Lynn has?
apparently they've been enforcing their parking
2 cars per unit or
restrictions or
whatever.
whatever.
No, you have to, I believe, register your car.
Have a sticker or
So in
something.
other words, what do you mean the car is in Greg's name? Who is Greg?
And then
Well, Greg,
I know one of the
it's only
vehicles
for the
was a New
resident who's
Hampshire
on the lease,
vehicle.
that's whose
and-
cars have to be there.
Gotcha.
And it's
gotcha.
what a lot of organizations do, and then it gets the people who don't belong in the unit to not be able to park there, and it causes the boyfriend that's not really staying overnight, that's living there,
Yep.
it eliminates his parking spot. Or girlfriend, or significant other,
Keep going.
son, daughter, child.
Don't stop there.
Want to table that one
I'd
too?
like to table it, maybe send a letter to the council to see what his wishes are.
Who's that, what, 7?
Ward 7, Jay Walsh, good counselor.
I want to table that.
Motion to table.
I second.
Second.
Motion made and second to
No.
table to get some more information from the ward council. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, and it's a vote. I do have one other thing under new business. I was called today by Principal Cowdell down at Ingalls School. Apparently, next year, she is inheriting 4 classrooms of kindergarten kids. And she explained what's going to happen is they're going to be transported from the Ford School down to the Ingalls School at approximately 7:15, 7:20 in the morning. To get the buses in to the back way, to drop the kids off and then get the buses back out again, she was asking if we could amend the ordinance up there. Right now, it's do not enter, and it's a one-way on Collins Street Terrace from 7:15 to 8:15. She was asking if we may be able to bump that back to 7:30. That way, the buses could get in and get out before the rest of the schools coming in, because they have an arrival time of 7:45.
So it's changing the time window printed on the sign,
Correct, from
the
7:15 to
ordinance,
7:30.
but as well the
We
movement.
just put that up there too, right?
Yeah.
It was October of last year, I think.
Yeah.
And she's only doing this in anticipation of this new school year coming September, that she is now inheriting this new 4 classrooms of kids
They're gonna bus them from the Ford School to there.
down.
So the kids will go to Ford School, line up there, get in the bus, and then be bused over to that school.
All before school starts.
Before Ingalls School starts.
Which means those kids have to get to that school
Right.
pretty early and then be
Right.
bused over.
And she was worried too, where the kindergarten kids, small kids, trying to bring them in through on the Essex Street side, may be more difficult than just having them come right into the back parking lot, I guess. And if they come down Collins Street Terrace, the buses can make the swing into the back of the schoolyard, drop the kids off, and then get out of there before the other rush of the regular
So
school.
they're taking a left off of Collins Street down that street, is that what we're doing?
We,
Correct.
we did have
Oh,
quite a
right,
few
you-
meetings
yeah.
up there with the counselor and the neighbors. Do we have to involve, not do we have to, should we be involving the counselor or?
I think where it's only pushing it to 15 minutes, it shouldn't be a big issue. You know, their big thing was they wanted Collins Street Terrace to be two-way. It was
Yes.
one-way for the longest time, 24/7. They wanted it two-way. We made it two-way other than these 2-hour periods, one at arrival, one at dismissal. So I think if we, curtail the morning one down to 45 minutes instead, I don't think anybody up there is going to have a problem with it, but
So you want to set it down, we got to do a public hearing, we can't
public
just
hearing.
amend it, right? Yeah. Make a motion to set it down for public hearing?
I'll second that.
Right.
All right, motion made and seconded to set it down for a public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the
Those
council will
opposed?
get it in his packet, so he'll know what we're doing, so.
Yeah, and I think explain to him, listen, this is very, very similar to what's down there now. It's just a 15-minute shift of the,
So we're changing the time frame
The
from
time would-
7:15 to 7:30?
Would be 7:30 a.m. to 8:15 a.m. It's also, included in is the 1:15 to 2:15, but she said in the afternoon it's not an issue or a problem, so she would just,
leave that.
we'll leave that alone.
Just put a scratch.
It was just
through it.
trying to get the kids down there in the morning, so.
And also, Mr. Chairman, I've had a couple of calls into my office on Boston Street. If you came down Bridge Street and then you were gonna take the left, there's usually a truck, a vehicle right there, close to the corner, sometimes past the 20 feet, which we could tag, or sometimes even further, and they're having a hard time getting out because it's a tough little street and the visibility. They're looking to see if we can't do something with 30 feet to the intersection of sign. So if you're coming out Bridge Street, if you're gonna take a left, they're looking on Boston Street to have a 30-foot restriction. With the new barber shop, the tattoo parlor across the street, and different things happening in the areas, a lot of people, I guess, they go to the condo building next door, so they're trying to come out, and then they gotta get out in the street, then they gotta go back in.
I think there's more traffic going down Bridge Street now that Market Basket's in there too.
A tremendous
So
amount
it's
of traffic.
probably a little safer trying to come out of there if we push it back, but you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to set that down, I'll make a motion.
Second that?
All right, motion made and seconded to establish no parking here to corner for 30 feet back from Bridge Street on Boston Street,
Towards Loomis's, yeah.
going back towards Loomis's.
So it's on Boston?
It's on
Boston.
Boston,
From Bridge?
Yep.
correct. It's going south.
If you were coming out
In a
Bridge-
southerly direction.
They say you have to really sneak out, and cars are going on Boston Street at a pretty good clip. I actually went down there today, and course, there's no car. I have gone other times, but you do have to sneak out there.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Those opposed, and it's a vote. Set that down for public hearing. Anything else anybody wants to do?
Motion to adjourn?
Second that.
All in
Motion
favor?
made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?